I'm one of the lucky ones. I made a little bit of money. I don't have 50 million to bet with you, but I do have 3 million to bet with you. So this is your offer. $3 million. You put 3, I put 3. Winner takes all. I'm 5 years out the ring. I'm a kickboxer.
Joe Rogan just dropped the bombshell on why Jake Paul, the so-called boxing prodigy, turned down Andrew Tate's big fight offer. And get this, he didn't just reject the fight, he straight up kicked the $3 million to the curb. Yeah, you heard that right. So what's the deal here? Is Jake terrified of losing, or does he only box when the odds are conveniently stacked in his favor? Seems like the only thing scripted here is his so-called career.
Fight, you want to send a contract, send one to me. I will take a few weeks break from living my retired life and kick the living out of a goofy, entitled dickhead like you. You know my name, Andrew Tate. Google it if you want to know more. Any day,
But don't worry, I'm going to break down all the reasons behind Jake's reject C, the savage call-outs from Andrew Tate, and how Joe Rogan T into Jake's play it safe strategy. Buckle up, because this story is packed with drama, ego, and some hilarious truths you won't want to miss.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And listen, what Jake Paul has accomplished is he's fighting old guys.
Yeah.
He's fighting, all he fights are old guys and whatever. But listen, say what you want, he wins. And he makes money. So he's doing his thing.
Hey. 20 seconds. Come on, 20 seconds. Let's go. Work. Work 10 seconds.
Because Jake Paul is the man who claims to take on all challengers conveniently, and now he ducks out the moment of test shows up, and who better to expose him than Joe Rogan and Andrew Tate? If there's a handbook on how to dodge legitimate competition while screaming about being the best, Jake Paul probably wrote it.
Yeah, he'll never do that though. He knows. He knows way.
One, he's under contract. And
He's
two,
not his own boss.
and two, he won't do it. He knows better. He might.
And it's funny to say, like, yo, Conor McGregor is scared of Jake Paul.
When Andrew Tate, former kickboxing champion and professional button pusher, called out Jake, the internet erupted. Tate wasn't playing games. He openly challenged Jake to a fight with a $3 million bet and an anytime, anywhere ultimatum. But instead of lacing up his gloves and stepping into the ring, Jake hesitated, not the kind of hesitation that builds suspense. It was the awkward kind that makes you wonder if he's frantically texting his PR team for an excuse.
Somebody like me, he mentioned me before, and there'll be people like this saying, oh, Carl's not to like himself, he's after a payday. Listen, I'm not after a payday. I'm doing all right. There's no problem.
And then came Jake's brilliant pivot, fighting Mike Tyson. Yes, the 57-year-old retired legend who hasn't been in his prime since VHS tapes were still a thing. Jake, in his infinite wisdom, decided that boxing Tyson would be a better move than facing someone like Andrew Tate, who is not only in fighting shape, but also unpredictably dangerous. It was a calculated move, sure, but it screamed one thing louder than anything else: fear. And we all know the fight was scripted, and he can't do a fight scripted with Andrew Tate.
Some of these crossover fights, obviously, I know that you and Jake Paul have had your disagreements. Do you think that Jake's gotten better as a boxer?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And listen, what Jake Paul has accomplished is he's fighting old guys.
Yeah.
He's fighting, all he fights are old guys and whatever. But listen, say what you want, he wins. And he makes money. So he's doing.
Let's not act like this is the first time Jake Paul has avoided a fight he couldn't control. His entire boxing career has been a masterclass in cherry-picking opponents. Former basketball players, check. Retired MMA fighters who haven't boxed a day in their lives, double check. And now Tyson, a retired heavyweight with enough fame to sell tickets, but not enough speed to pose a real threat. It's a pattern so obvious that even Jake's most loyal fans are starting to notice. Joe Rogan didn't hesitate to call Jake out on his podcast, pointing out that Jake's strategy revolves around avoiding anyone who might actually beat him. He's fighting old, undersized guys. Rogan said, summing up what everyone else was already thinking: Jake Paul doesn't want to fight Andrew Tate because Tate is younger, faster, and far more unpredictable than any opponent Jake has faced. Rogan even went a step further, saying that Jake's reluctance to face Tate shows he's more interested in preserving his record than proving himself as a legitimate fighter.
There's one cage. Jake Logan, you Tristan. Who comes out alive?
You know what? I'm trying so hard to not start internet memes. I'm really trying not to.
You can say Jake and Logan, man. Don't worry about it.
No, I can't lie. I'm going through life. I'm trying to live peaceful now. I've got Fed agents in my house. Matrix is after me. I'm just trying to live peaceful. But of course, I have absolute faith in myself. My brother. I know what we can do, and I know.
Now let's talk about Andrew Tate for a second. This isn't some washed-up internet personality looking for a quick payday. Tate is a former kickboxing world champion with a chip on his shoulder and a point to prove he didn't just challenge Jake Paul, he practically dared him to fight his $3 million. That wasn't just a publicity stunt, it was a statement Tate knew Jake wouldn't take the fight, and he wanted to make that fact as public as possible. Tate didn't stop at the initial call-out either. When Jake Paul ghosted him, he doubled down, calling Jake out again and pointing out the painfully obvious: Jake's entire career is built on fighting opponents. He can script. There's a difference between training and being a fighter, Tate said, throwing one of the most savage truths at Jake's entire existence. Prime fighters destroy hobbyists.
Fighter, legitimate, badass motherfucker, strong mentality. Sorry, Tristan Tate is a weak link. I say let's. He got a bad shoulder. He shaped like a gingerbread man. I don't want no beef, but that's the illusion. PFO will set this up. Uh-oh. MMA 10 million for everybody.
Jake's silence after Tate's second challenge was deafening for someone who never shuts up when it comes to hyping his fights. Jake suddenly had nothing to say. His fans, who had been hyped about the possibility of a Paul Tate showdown, were left scratching their heads. And if this feels like Jake just got rocked by a verbal "when you" combo, then slip the jab and smash that subscribe button, because this saga is delivering more hits than Jake ever will in a real fight. Let's break it down. Jake Paul chose to fight Mike Tyson instead of Andrew Tate because Tyson is safer. Yes, Tyson is a boxing icon, but let's not ignore the fact that he's 57 years old and well past his prime. Jake knew he could control the narrative in a Tyson fight. He knew it would sell pay-per-views because of Tyson's name, not because it would be a real challenge. We all know that fight was scripted, and most importantly, he knew it wouldn't put his carefully curated record at risk.
Old man who's retired. I live in the real world, Jake. There's a whole bunch of fighters out here who live in the real world. Men who are dangerous and dedicated their lives to this sport and don't have a fraction of the money you have because you managed to become a.
Contrast that with Andrew Tate, a fighter in his mid-30s and top physical condition with years of experience in combat sports. Tate is unpredictable, skilled, and absolutely not interested in playing Jake's game. If Jake stepped into the ring with Tate, he wouldn't just risk losing, he'd risk being exposed as the hobby has accused him of being. Joe Rogan once again didn't hold back when talking about Jake's decision to fight with a Tyson instead of Tate. Jake Paul doesn't want to fight, he can't control. Rogan said, cutting through Jake's facade like a hot knife through butter. And he's right. Jake Paul's entire career is about control, controlling the opponents, controlling the narrative, and controlling the spectacle. Andrew Tate represents the one thing Jake can't control: a real challenge. If Jake thought his fans wouldn't notice his dodge, he was sorely mistaken. Social media lit up with criticism, and the backlash was brutal. Fans called him a coward, a fraud, and worse, even some of Jake's supporters admitted that his decision to avoid Andrew Tate while fighting Mike Tyson was a bad look. The internet doesn't forget, and this move might just haunt Jake for the rest of his career.